Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start our Educa DPS podcast for today. Our topic is about sharing all the great resources and opportunities that the Denver Scholarship Foundation offers to our DPS students for post-secondary education. Before we do, I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, VS America, the suppliers of Agile furniture for our DPS schools. Together, we are creating future-ready learning environments where comfort, choice, and engagement drive every student's success. Are you ready for takeoff? In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Educa DPS Podcast, where we inform families and connect communities. My name is Javier Ibarra, and today on Educa, we have the pleasure of speaking with Yoseline Loya, a college advisor with the Denver Scholarship Foundation. And she is here to share resources on how students can learn about scholarships and opportunities for higher education for our DPS students. So I want to welcome you to the show. How are you today?
Thank you, Javier. Very good. Thank you for having me here today.
Normally we ask people what the most gratifying thing about their job is. What would you say the most gratifying thing about your job is?
It's a great question. The most gratifying thing about my job is, I think, working in and inspiring the community that I grew up in.
Tell me more about that. Where'd you grow up?
Yep. I actually graduated from Sheridan High School. I Sheridan High School just off of Federal in Oxford, and then went to CSU and then came back and have been working at Lincoln. But I grew up on South Federal Boulevard basically my whole entire life. You know, Yale and Federal, Evans and Federal, Dartmouth and Federal, like all the Federal Boulevard. Never went past Florida.
And I never went past Alameda.
That's funny.
I grew up on First and Federal.
Oh, I see.
That the Barnum neighborhood. That was my neighborhood, and so we never went past Alameda because as a kid, it's a big avenue.
Yeah.
So we didn't go past that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, similar upbringing and community, and so having grown up there, you know, where all the food trucks are at on South Federal Boulevard, and being a part of that community, leaving for 4 years to study in Fort Collins, and then coming back and working at Lincoln now is the most gratifying thing for me, because I get to like I said, inspire the students and the families in the community that I grew up in, and so it's really just I mean it's hard to find the words to explain it, but it's just the perfect match for me to be there.
We call it filling your cup. Right? So you fill your cup with goodness every single day. And I think working for the district, working with students in this line of work, it fills your cup every single day.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it reminds you of why you want to be here. But real quick, just so for our audience understands, what do you do at DSF?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my title is a college advisor. I work with 9th through 12th grade students. So students have the opportunity of working with us since they're 9th grade students all the way to the 12th grade. In 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, we work with students to give them guidance and information, access to information about all the possibilities that they have for after they graduate from high school. You know, what kind of programs are there out there? What are the requirements, types of scholarships, what financial aid is? Basically, just like information. We also do a lot of like personal surveys, personal surveys, career interest surveys with students as well, so that students can start identifying what they like and what they don't like, potentially in a future career, right, or in a college. And then in 12th grade, we it's application time. So during senior years, when students apply to all the programs that they're interested in, colleges, scholarships, financial aid, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, to then get them ready for that next step after they graduate from high school. So that's my day-to-day kind of role, is working with 9th through 12th grade students in the Future Center with one-on-one appointments, which we've established at Lincoln, group workshops to give students different information. We just hosted an event that you were at a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Si Se Puede, and financial aid workshops. So day-to-day kind of responsibilities. As an organization, students get to work with us in 9th through 12th grade. And then if they apply to our scholarship and become scholars, which I'm sure we'll talk about in detail in just a little bit as well, we have campus contacts that they get they then get handed off to somebody on their college campuses that support them through their post-secondary journey. And so we don't just send them off once they graduate from high school. If they get our scholarship, we're with them throughout their time at the college level. And so there's a 3-part to DSF. It's the access part, which is 9th through 12th grade, the scholarship, which is the scholarship that we provide, and then the success piece is helping students be successful while they're in their program.
I'm really excited about having you here today on our show because this is a topic that literally changes lives, right? I know it's changed my life and the trajectory and of my family for future generations. But before we get into it, and I want to give our audience an opportunity to hear everything that you have, I want to give them a bit of background information on DSF. So the Denver Scholarship Foundation is a nonprofit helping to make college possible. They build the educational and economic future of Denver by collaborating with DPS, students, families, and partners statewide. And so their goal is to increase access to post-high school learning and expand exposure to career and entrepreneur opportunities. And so starting off with my very first question, when and why should students start visiting the Denver Scholarship Foundation? And is there like a name for the location that you work at?
Yeah. So when should they come visit us? Is their first day of 9th grade year.
Okay.
I mean, jokingly, but seriously, as soon as their 9th grade year starts, they should come visit us. We have a lot of really great opportunities for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students to, as I mentioned earlier, just explore what they might want to do once they graduate from high school. We take them on field trips as well, different college field trips, so that they could see what kind of college campus they might want to be at potentially. So definitely, like since the start of 9th grade year, if not, I mean, as soon as possible, whenever you can, come and visit us. Where we have 15 different future centers across DPS high schools, and on our website you could find all 15 future centers. But that is the future centers' physical spaces look different at every school. Some are in the library, some are next to the counseling office.
Some are independent.
Some are independent, like in the 3rd floor, 2nd floor of their school.
Sure.
For us specifically at Lincoln, we're on the 1st floor right next to the counseling office. And so very accessible. We all have like a Future Center flag that you could see outside of our classroom to make it easy to find. But the Future Center is the space that we like live in day to day. But we're always a phone call or an email away as well.
We're going to get into right into the conversation that I want to talk about, which is, what does it mean for a student to be college and career ready? Tough question.
What does it mean for a student to be college and career ready? That is a heavy question. I think there's I think that happens throughout the 9th through 12th grade, especially if they're connected with us. You know, we have like a curriculum for each grade level. Ninth grade, you know, you're 9th grade student. You're starting high school, you might be a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, you know, all the feelings that come with being a 9th grade student. And so we work with our 9th grade students in like more relationship building kind of activities, identifying maybe their personality, their strengths, what they want to lean into. 10th grade, we have a little bit more workshops, and then junior year. So there's a curriculum for every grade level. And I think that college ready questions, that career ready questions happens throughout the programming that we have, right? The more engaged that the students are with us and the more involved that they're with us, the more that question will get answered throughout the time. I think a lot of that self-reflection also happens in 12th grade. 12th grade is when students start applying to their college programs, their scholarships, financial aid, and that is a very self-reflective process as well. You know, there are some students that apply to only 4-year universities. There are students that apply to 4-year and 2-year. And so throughout the process, as you're submitting applications and as you're receiving responses, the student has to ask themselves, okay, I got accepted to this program, and then I also got accepted to this university, like which one is going to be better for me, or what do I want? And so I think that question of like, when do you know, or how do you, or what college and career ready, I think it's a 9th through 12th grade process, and that's why we exist, to help students process through that.
For all of our 9th and 9th through 12th grade students that we have here at DPS, I just kind of want to speak to you right now and let you know, like, there are 1,000 questions that you don't even know what to ask. And what I find the benefit of the future centers and particularly what DSF does is one, it asks the questions that they should be asking and then helps them find the answers, right? Because it's interesting things, and it gets into your trajectory of like, oh, I'm going to college versus I might go to college, I might not, right? I know things have changed since I was in high school, but the feelings, like you said, are still pretty much there in the sense of like, you know, we tell our students to dream big, right? When I was coming up, and I've said this many times on the podcast, but when I was coming up, the biggest dream that I could have was construction foreman, right? Because all of my teachers, everyone, they didn't look like me and they weren't really invested in me, right? And so that's all I had. And then once I started going to college and I was like, wow, you could be all sorts of things. Right now I'm hosting a podcast. This is surreal to me, right?
You're not wearing a hard hat.
Yeah, I'm not wearing a hard hat. Not until the summer when we visit our schools and we do construction visits. But I just think it's really important, the work that you and your team are doing for our students, because you're literally changing lives. And my next question for you kind of goes along with that, which is, how does DSF specifically support students in becoming college and career ready, right? Give me some examples, some of the things that the students can look forward to in order to get prepared.
Yeah, for sure. I think I mentioned it just briefly, but we have a curriculum for every grade level. And so ninth grade it's a little bit relationship building, you know, maybe practice on like how to write an email. Learning about GPA, which in ninth grade year, you're starting from zero, right? Your GPA is zero at the start of freshman year. And so what your ninth grade year looks like on your transcript is going to be important. What ninth grade, what 10th grade, what 11th grade, what 12th grade GPA you have is going to be important. And so ninth grade is a little bit planting seeds, about the post-secondary world. 10th grade, the college field trips we have as well. We visit different college campuses, so big 4-year universities, 2-year colleges, technical schools as well. Within the future centers, we also have opportunities to do other field trips, and so we're actually taking some of our students to the Denver Museum later this month to explore.
Every time we all be there.
Come along. Yeah. To explore more of the behind the scenes of the STEM world. And so for seniors as well, we have for seniors it's a little bit more like practical support that we offer for our students because it's actual application time. And so we'll host financial aid workshops for students during their senior year. Last year, we had a competition with JFK to see who could submit more DSF scholarship applications. So there's a lot of different programming that happens. We had the Si Se Puede event about 2 weeks ago at Lincoln to demonstrate to students that it is possible for them to go to college. And so all throughout 9th through 12th grade, we actually also have another event coming up in May where students and families can come with us. It's called DPS DSF Visit Auraria or Explore Auraria, where students and families can join us for the day at Auraria campus and learn a little bit more about University of Colorado Denver, Metropolitan State University of Denver, and Community College of Denver. So basically, we just host a ton of workshops, individual meetings as well that I think are very impactful because you sit one-on-one with a student, and I think you get more feedback from a student when you're meeting with them one-on-one than in the workshop. I think all of it is beneficial, but we have tons of programming throughout the entire school year.
Is there a cost for that?
No
cost.
$3.99.
Wow. So students can go and visit and see themselves at a university. Yep. That's so huge.
Yeah.
Especially for our first-gen students. Like you were, myself, right? That's huge.
A lot of our DPS students,
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask, and you talked about the activities that you organize. What kind of activities does DSF do to expose the students to higher education?
I think our field trips are probably our most popular with students because they want to visit college campuses, and I think they are very impactful. It might be silly that the student wants to go on a field trip, and the field trips are always fun.
Yeah,
I think when you're at school,
get you out of class.
But then when they step on campus at a 4-year school and they're like, whoa, when we go to Fort Collins, it's like a new world to them, and they're like, what? Like, this is the rec center, this is the library. Might be their first time stepping on our college campus. So I think that the physical exposure of what a college campus looks like can do a lot for a student. And then us at the Future Center, we bring post-secondary into the Future Center, right? I think today we had actually Texas A&M from San Antonio in the Future Center. We've had Yale University come to our Future Center. Community College of Denver was in our Future Center last week. We'll be having University of Colorado Denver. So we have a ton of visits. We have different career panels throughout the school year as well that students can participate in. Some of the career panels are career specific. So some of them might be, you want to be a health professional. What does that look like for you, and what trajectory might that be? You want to be an engineer. This is, we bring in a group of engineers, trade school. I mean, tons of different programs throughout the school year.
I think that's so beneficial to bring in those types of people and to give students access, because it's all about proximity. If you're close to it, then you believe in it. When I was coming up, and I don't know if other listeners or people watching the podcast can relate, or even you, but like, college was not a thought that I gave because no one believed in me enough to see that. And being first gen, like, it wasn't even like, oh, you're going to go to college. That's a fact. Like, no, like, I could have chosen to do 1,000 other things. But I knew, just like you did, that college was going to do something for you and provide an experience and resources that you just couldn't get somewhere else. But I want to know, we talked a lot about the student aspect. Let's talk about the family aspect, right? Because in our culture, right, family is huge. We bring our family everywhere. If we could, I'd bring them here to work if I could, right?
Come watch this podcast.
Yeah, they'd love it. My mom would love it. So in terms of family support, we know it's key. In what ways does DSF support parents with the challenges of college, particularly our first-gen parents?
Yeah, we have a lot of great videos on our website and on our YouTube channel that parents and families can watch. Tuning into podcasts like this is I think can be very helpful for parents as well. So there's lots of external resources that exist, I think both by DPS and by DSF that give families and students information. And I think sometimes that's a little bit hard to digest, right? It's like you look at a website and you read information and you're like, cool, like, right, this is cool information. I think it's most impactful when a family, a parent, and a student come and visit us physically in our spaces.
Also, they're welcomed in the center.
Yeah. I mean, parents and students and families, whoever, bring everybody, your tia, your tío, your abuela, everybody, bring them all to talk with us and learn about what this process is, right? Like you mentioned, as first generation students, my parents wanted the best for me, but they didn't know how to tell me or when to tell me, like, make sure that you apply to this. It's like that didn't exist in my home. And so coming with us to have that conversation, to learn about what the process looks like, I think can go a long way for a family. All you have to do is just reach out to your school and have them connect you to us, either via phone or our contact information is on the DSF website as well. But parents and families are more than welcome to come visit us in the Future Center. We also host different events. I think I mentioned it earlier, but we will have an event in May where parents and families can join us for a day and explore our area campus. We also have some webinars happening. I think there's one tonight actually for families feel future. I think there's another webinar in Spanish for next week. So there's a lot of events that we host throughout the year. For 12th grade specifically, we have financial aid workshops where we basically invite parents and families to come with their senior student to complete the FAFSA CASFA application. So there's tons of opportunities for you all to get more information. And so we have 15 Future Centers across DPS, and we all have different, similar and different programming throughout the school year. And so connect with your Future Center, connect with your staff at your high school, and learn about what we have going on both individually in the Future Center and then across the Denver Scholarship Foundation as well.
Throughout this podcast, we've been talking a lot about, like, in terms, like, we assume the audience has been going to college and all of that. So I want to take a moment real quick. How do you and your team support first-gen students, right? I assume first is breaking down the barriers of what the terms mean, maybe talk about some of the deadlines that you help. But more than anything, I think it's about the support that you guys provide. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I whenever I meet with the student first, before me, like, talking about college, before me, like, 4-year, 2-year scholarships, FAFSA, CASFA, It's really about learning more about the student themselves, right? And one of the questions that I ask at the beginning of my meetings is like, what do you think about the post-secondary process, right? To understand like where they're coming from. How are they walking into the meeting that I'm having with them right now, right? And you'll get a lot of very similar responses of like, it's expensive, or like they told me this, they told me that.
They tell you their worries.
Yep. And some students are excited about it. They're like, I know that I want to go, and like I know that DU has this program. And so I'd like to start my meetings asking like, what have you heard? What do you think? What information does the student have already? And then we have a ton of resources that, based on the student's response, I think I guide my conversation with the student and talking about the post-secondary process. We have a really cool pathway park that navigates the student. We're in the Future Center, and it's a really, really cool visual about what does it look like to start at a technical school, a 2-year, a 4-year, and how you could jump from one to the other, right? Like the stackable credentials. Yeah. We have a lot of really great resources and information about stackable careers, right? There are some careers that if you want to become a doctor, you have to complete certain steps before, right? And so depending on what the student wants to do, we guide the conversation. But I think it's important to understand what is the student coming in with first, and then you share a little bit more about it is possible. There's these resources. There's a lot of identities, right? There's students that have been in the U.S. for a really long time, and still their idea of college is like, it might not be something that I want to do, or it is something that they want to do. We have students who come from a different country, and from the first day that they walk into the Future Center, they're like, I know that this is something that I like want to do. Or there are some students who come from, and they're like, I'm scared, like, I don't know if this is possible for me. And so there's so many different perspectives and beliefs that a student might have about the post-secondary process. But ultimately, for our first generation students, I think that access to information, the physical space that we have in our schools, and just a friendly face to be like, you're welcome, and you're welcomed here, and you're welcome in your college campuses, and it is possible.
I think that's huge. You said be a friendly face, because I think in particularly our community, right, we do things because someone recommended it. Right? It's like, oh, you shouldn't go there because of this, or you should go there because of that. And that really guides the way we do it. I mean, we see it in migration patterns, right? For example, here in Colorado, you'll see a lot of people from Chihuahua, Durango, Zacatecas, right? But like in Chicago, you'll see a lot of people from Michoacan. Why? Because it sounds like Michigan, Michoacan, right? So like in LA, obviously you have Baja and stuff like that. And just why is that? It's because someone from that state went there once, recommended it to other people, and it's just been a thing that we've been recommending. And I feel like we're at the point where we're starting to do that with universities, right? And careers, right? Like we're giving back. I know you joined a sorority, I joined a fraternity. We both give back in our own ways. And something that I tell my guys all the time is first figure out what you want to do. But if you don't know what you want to do, right, start asking these questions. Start asking people who have already done it, asking them, right? I think something powerful that I read on the news the other day was there are more and more doctoral students, so like medical students, who are dropping out of their programs because they can't handle working with blood and other stuff. And I think, wow, it would have been very powerful if you would have maybe done a practical or seen that before you went down this 10-year route of being a doctor, right? It's all about perspective is kind of what I'm getting at for our families. I have a quick side question, and I think this is going to be super important. Two questions. One, what is the average age or grade of the students that visit you and your center particularly?
Seniors.
Seniors? Okay. So
seniors.
I'm glad you said that.
Every day.
Yeah. Because they're at the end and they want to say, oh, like maybe I should do this. But how powerful would it have been if they would have seen you freshman year?
Yeah.
And
maybe they could have gone with us on a field trip where they were exposed to the medical field and saw blood and decided then that that's not what they wanted to do.
Exactly.
So
then my next question is, what if, I'm going to give you a scenario. What if there's a freshman out there, right? And he's saying, Miss, because you know how students are. Miss.
All day.
Well, I'm just a freshman. Like, why do I need to worry about this now? Like, I have so much time. What would you say to that student?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and it's a response and something that's very common for a ninth grade student. It's like, I don't want to talk about this. And I think the curriculum that we have, like for ninth grade students, it's not so like college heavy. You know, that first year, it's like a little bit more about their personality. It's a little bit more about like, what are you interested in? What are you not interested in? I always relate it back to the real world. You know, it's not just about college. It's like, do you want a job in 2 years? You know, do you know what you're going to say about yourself? Do you know how to write an email to a, you know, there are so many things like that overlap. There are so many things about ourselves that overlap.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say to a ninth grade student that says I'm too early. Well, you might think that it is, but it's not, and make the content appropriate to the student, right? But I always relate it back to the real world. Is like when a student is submitting a scholarship application or they're practicing for an interview. It's like, you're not doing this just because of college or just because of the scholarship. It's like, you're gonna interview several times in your life. You know, you need to start identifying for yourself. So I think back to your question, putting it back on them as a self-reflective process and a growing process for the student individually, right? Not just like, so like college.
Yeah. Just shove it down.
Yeah.
No, I think that's important. It's planting the seed, right? It's giving them perspective. For example, like I think 1,000 times over, because I know I didn't have a lot of money for college and I had to take out quite a bit of money, like I would have gone to a 2-year institution, done my gen ed credits, and then transferred to a 4-year university. Just having that one thing would have helped me, right? And I know that there's like maybe a stigma or whatever, but it's like the stigma is real when you owe that much money, or isn't real when you owe that much money, right? It's like, no, like you have to do what's best for you, not what you think your friends are going to think about you, you know? But I think it's an opportunity. So if we could do this for our freshmen, you know, go visit your future center. If you have one in your school, like we have 15 across the district, the likelihood of one near you is very high. So go visit. If you're a freshman, sophomore, like think of the world of opportunities that is available to you. Okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit. Earlier in the conversation, you talked about FAFSA, and I know there's something called CASFA. Can you tell me what is that? What are the differences? Who qualifies for what?
Yeah, of course. So FAFSA and CASFA are both financial aid applications. FAFSA is, you can remember it by FAFSA, it starts with an F, and it's a federal application.
Okay.
For students that have a social security number, so they're U.S. citizens or became residents, and there are some other very specific qualifications that can qualify a student for FAFSA as well. But FAFSA, federal government, CASFA is a financial aid application with the Colorado state government. So it's for students that are undocumented, don't have a social security number. Essentially what the state said is, and no state is perfect, but Colorado definitely has some really great initiatives and programs in place to help our undocumented students. But the state basically said, like, if the government is not going to give you any financial aid, like we as a state will support you.
That's huge.
Yeah, which is very impactful for our students. So both FAFSA and CASFA, you only fill out one application. You don't do both of them. It's one or the other.
Important to know.
FAFSA or CASFA. So it's very important to identify. It's very important for the student and the family to identify which of the two applications they will submit.
Sure.
Once you identify which application you'll submit, then you and your parent or family member fill out the application together. One part of the application is the student part, and the second part of the application is the parent portion. And so on the student side, they ask the student questions about, birthday, what schools have you applied to, like where do you want your application to go to, demographic information, ask them questions about like money and finance. But as a 17-year-old, I mean, you might have thousands of dollars in assets and investments in your...
Who doesn't, right?
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
But the student portion is fairly easy to complete. And then the second part is the parent family portion as well, where biological parents or step parents or adoptive parents contribute their financial information to their student's application. It's also very important in the applications to identify which adult or which parent. There's tons of different family household situations. Divorced parents, sometimes students are living with a family member, sometimes like the student has been adopted or the student is in a legal guardianship. There's lots of very specific details to how to fill out the application, which can be a whole nother podcast. But anyway, it's important to identify, and this is why it's important to ask your future center advisor these questions, because it can be very complicated. But the second part of the application is asking for parent tax information. So the seniors this year started in fall of 2025, and so the FAFSA application, the CASFA application that they're submitting are asking for taxes of 2024. So the application will ask for taxes, income information of 2024. In the application, the parent will answer questions on, like, in your taxes on the 1040, what does line 11 say?
Sure.
Line 24, line 5A, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So then the application, the FAFSA uses a formula to then give the student aid index number. And that student aid index number is the financial aid eligibility for the student. And so essentially what happens is that the FAFSA application will ask for income information, and then the government, either federal or state, will say, okay, Javier and his family make a lot of money in the school year.
I love that.
They're rich, they're good, like,
Yeah.
they're fine.
Yeah.
We're not going to give them anything because they can pay for college on their own. Or the government can say, Javier and his family are like middle income. We're going to give them $3,000 and then they could cover the rest.
Sure.
Or the government can say, Javier and his family are on the lower income side and they can't help Javier with his college costs. So we're going to give him as much money as possible. Not as much money as possible, I'm sorry. The maximum that you'd get from the FAFSA.
All the money.
All the money, all the free money. The maximum amount that you could get from the FAFSA application is $7,395. So
That's a lot of money.
you get offered $1 or $0, actually, 0 through $7,395 in free money from the federal government, based on the income information of what you put in your application.
So I used to work at orientation at MSU Denver, and I have a fun little trick for our families out there. If you are blessed enough to have those means and finances where you don't need any student loans or grants or anything like that, it's still worthwhile to apply for FAFSA, because with FAFSA on your file, let's say you miss a payment, let's say you miss a deadline, they won't drop you from your classes because you have a FAFSA on file. Right? Because they know that there's an opportunity to recoup that money. And so I think it's still worth for every single student going the college route to apply for FAFSA, and if you qualify for CAFSA.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important. A lot of students and families ask us, like, how much is it going to cost for me to go to this school? How much is it going to cost for me to go to that school? It's so hard. I mean, it's kind of impossible to say. Not impossible, because there are some like estimated costs that you can use, but ballpark, but you really do not know until you submit the FAFSA or the CASFA application. Like the FAFSA or the CASFA will tell you everything that you need to know about how to move forward. There are some students who are interested in going to a 2-year college, and they submit the FAFSA and they qualify for the $7,395. Cool, you go to community college, paid for. There's a student who qualified for just $3,000. She wants to go to CU Denver. Okay, we got to fill out as many scholarship applications as possible. So there's another student who had a high SAI. So now we're looking at apprenticeship programs, and so the FAFSA and the CASFA are really telling, because it tells us everything that we need to know about how much money you could potentially receive. After the FAFSA and the CASFA are submitted, your results, the results get sent to all the schools that the student applied to or indicated in the application that they want to send to. And so what happens after the CASFA application is submitted, then the student receives what's called financial aid award letters from every college or program that they applied to. And so the Colorado State University will receive your FAFSA application and say, okay, Javier qualified for the $7,395. We're going to give him an additional $18,000 because we want to help him go to school and we want him here. And there are some schools that are a little bit more giving with their money than others, but nonetheless, there's still a lot of money that universities have. I mean, it's expensive, and there's still a lot of money that they want to give away to help students go to school. And so a student should not make a decision about where to go until they have received that financial aid award package. It's like the golden ticket, right? You're not going to say yes to a car or yes to a house before you know what you're actually...
What do you mean? That's not how it works.
Sorry to tell you, that is not how it works.
You're crushing dreams right now.
So it's really important, like, to submit the college application, submit the FAFSA or the CASFA, and then follow up and make sure that you have received a financial aid award letter that tells you dollar per dollar, like, how much money that school is going to give you. And then you make a decision about what to do, right? I always tell seniors, like, and they hear it at Lincoln all the time. I'm like, just apply, like, literally just apply. Like, don't say no to something before you have an offer on the table.
Right.
If you end up qualifying for 3,000, if CSU or Boulder, I say CSU because that's where I graduated from, so it's easy for me to say.
Shout out.
Shout out, go Rams. But if like Boulder, you know, if they're not going to give you anything, or CSU, if they're not going to give you anything and you're going to have to pay $20,000 out of pocket, might not be a good option, you know, to choose. But don't make that decision until you have received your financial aid award packages.
I think that's so powerful. And for our listeners, if at any point you got lost on what Ms. Loya here was saying, that was the point, right? The point was to understand that this is a complicated process, and we have an expert here, and we have experts in our schools to help you navigate this. And every single student here has a unique journey and a unique background that therefore will paint the picture, right? But having the award letters, having all of this gives you an opportunity to make a more informed decision, because like you said, right, if you were
informed decision,
yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, like if you wanted to go to CU Boulder, but you have to pay $40,000, but you never knew that like DU would give you almost all of it paid.
Yeah, $75,000.
Right. And so you're like, oh, well, I still want to go to Boulder, not knowing that DU wanted someone like you, someone with your grade, someone with your background. Maybe you won a STEM or whatever competition. Like, it's important to know these things. And the earlier that you know, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. I think you hit it just right on the dot. My job is to help students make a more informed decision. I'm not here to tell you or Beto or anybody else what they should and shouldn't do with their lives. That is up to each individual to decide. My job is to give you access to information about everything that's possible. Submit your applications. Yes, I'm going to encourage the process. Mm-hmm. I see a senior in the hallway and I'm like, apply.
Yes.
Apply. And then you have the information that you need to make an informed decision about what you want to do.
I just had a mental image of you tracking down seniors.
Oh, I'm at prom, like, submit your FAFSA application and send it to the way. I'm walking in the hallway and I'm like, did you fill out that scholarship? Did you get it done?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But I think students know that, right? Like, and every time that I go talk to a class and I'm like, we're not here to tell you what to do or what not to do. It's like, but I just want you to know, I want them to know that there are opportunities available for them to apply and for them to pursue their dreams, and for them, no matter what GPA the student has, there's a program, there's a path for everybody.
Absolutely.
And no matter what your citizenship status is, whether you were born here or not, there's opportunities for everybody.
That's huge. Well, before you go, I want to ask 2 questions. One is, all the great work that you're doing, how can people support you? There are a lot of people listening to this podcast that want to support and get back with your mission. How can people support DSF?
Yeah, of course. We have, like I mentioned, 15 feature centers across DPS. We have a lot of events going on throughout the school year that always like looking for volunteers. Really helpful to have some external partners and even like making connections with the students, right? They hear it from me every day at prom and in the hallways and in their classrooms and in text messages. And sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody else come to our spaces and reinforce the message, right. Or share a different experience, and so I think volunteering is one way. So volunteering and time. If you do have money, like Beto and Javier, they're going on trips internationally every year. I'm just kidding. If you do, we have a gala every single year. I think this year is in October. It's a really great opportunity to learn more about what we do, listen to a story about the students that we work with, and then have an opportunity to donate if that's something that you are able to do.
Well, I want to thank you for your time and all the information and all the work that you do, right? Because I bet that a lot of students will come back and say, Miss Loya, you changed my life. But if they haven't already, I'm encouraging you out there. If Miss Loya's changed your life, say something. But, from us here at DPS, I thank you genuinely for the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you for giving us a space and for helping us communicate the message as well to all of our DPS students that there are a lot of opportunities for you all to chase your dreams. And I hope that you feel empowered and encouraged to go and visit a Future Center at your high school if you have one, or participate in one of the events that we have coming up in May, but connect with us.
And for those listening, the website is www.denverscholarship.org, and the telephone number is 303-951-4140. Well, friends and families, this concludes our Educa DPS podcast for today. I want to give a big thank you to our guest, Yoseline, Miss Loya, for sharing this very, very important information. And if you found this content useful or interesting or important, please share it, subscribe. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus. You can also find us on all of the major podcast platforms. Just search for the Denver Public Schools Podcast Network. We want to give gratitude to the entire DPS Communications Department and a huge thank you to our proud superintendent, Dr. Alex Morero, for his continued support of this podcast. Don't forget to tune in into all of our Educa podcasts where the learning journey continues. And remember to tell your children more often, I believe in you and I know you can do it. I'm Javier Ibarra. Until next time.